What's going on, guys? Matthew Monas here, and today I'm going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus versus the OnePlus 6. I think you guys are going to be pretty surprised with the results. But first I got to pay some bills. And I got to talk about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. As you know, for those of you who've been following me on Instagram, I've been really changing the way my photos look. I've been using a lot of Photoshop. And the way I've been learning how to use Photoshop is from Skillshare. They have a lot of great videos that teach you different ways on how to learn the things you need to know when using such a dynamic program like Photoshop. Now listen, there's more than Photoshop on there. If you need to learn how to improve your lighting for your YouTube videos, if you need to learn how to vlog, basically anything you can think of in the creative space, there's over 17,000 classes to choose from. And it only costs less than 10 bucks a month. Now, if you're interested, I'll place a link in the description down below. Go check it out, you'll be surprised. So the first shot, we got an indoor shot of this beautiful little wood table. And to be quite honest, there's not that much of a difference in terms of reproduction. I think both photos will look fantastic. If anything, the Galaxy S9 Plus is slightly sharper. Now, one thing I did notice, if you look at the cup that's on the table, it's better exposed on the OnePlus 6, whereas on the Galaxy S9 Plus, it's slightly overexposed, making it harder to see the water itself. Now, if we move on to the next photo, we have the exact same thing, but in HDR. Now, as you can see, the Galaxy S9 Plus does provide a better picture of the water. Again, the picture itself does look a little bit more sharp, and you can see the details on the floor a little bit better. And I also find the Galaxy S9 Plus does a better job with the shadows. But overall, both phones do great. So in this shot, we have an outdoor shot. You see the sky, we have some trees, and of course, a little sand road. Now here's the big takeaway from this. The OnePlus 6 definitely shows more detail in the road itself. You can actually see all the little black rocks that are on the ground, whereas in the S9 Plus, slightly overexposed and washes it out. Now the S9 Plus does produce slightly more contrast, which some people might prefer, but I do like the sky better on the OnePlus 6. You also have slightly more detail when you zoom in on the OnePlus 6, and that's probably because it has a 20 megapixel camera as one of their sensors. Things change a little bit when HDR is turned on. You can start seeing those black pebbles with the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, where on the OnePlus 6, you can even see them better now. Also, the trees are a lot more punchy. You can see the shadows a little bit better. And of course, the sky just looks even better than before. So here's another pic. HDR is off, and I think the OnePlus 6 did a slightly better job. I like the way the sky looks. It did a better job of exposing that white car that's closest to us, whereas on the Galaxy S9 Plus, it's a little bit overexposed. And if you look at the building all the way in the back, on the Galaxy S9 Plus, it doesn't pick up as much detail, and I find the dynamic range on the OnePlus 6 to be slightly higher. Now, the differences are very minimal, but it is a little bit noticeable, and I think the OnePlus 6 looks a little bit more pleasing in this scenario. So in this photo, we're zooming in up to 2 times. The OnePlus 6 doesn't have a telephoto lens, but it does have a second 20 megapixel camera that allows you to zoom in with a little bit more detail, whereas the Galaxy S9 Plus has a dedicated telephoto lens. As you can see here, the S9 Plus definitely provides a slightly better picture. The OnePlus 6 looks good, but you can tell there's a little bit of pixelation because it's digitally zooming in. Now, this is a great photo test dynamic range. Both of these cameras do a great job with HDR off, maybe slightly more visually appealing on the OnePlus 6 with those warmer tones, but the Galaxy S9 Plus definitely provides a sharper image. Once you kick on HDR, things change up a little bit. I find the Galaxy S9 Plus to do a little bit better with dynamic range. You can see the details in the bricks a little bit better. It does a better job with the shadows, and overall, it's a slightly more appealing image. This picture does a great job of showing exposure. The sun was really beaming off the roofs of these houses. Now, overall, I think the OnePlus 6 looks a little bit more appealing. I find there to be more dynamic range on the roof itself, but I do find there to be more detail and better exposed shadows on the Galaxy S9 Plus. The OnePlus 6 has more of a softer look to it, whereas the Galaxy S9 Plus is a little bit more sharp. So here's the same shot but with HDR on, and as you can see, the Galaxy S9 Plus has improved the image itself. You can see the roof a lot better. It's a little bit more brownish red, similar to the OnePlus 6 and similar to real life. The details are still better on the Galaxy S9 Plus, but they have been improved with HDR on for the OnePlus 6. And you can see that right by the brick close close to the door. Next up is low light. And this is a picture from the Sony a6500, and this is a true to life picture. If you were there, this is exactly what you would see. This is exactly how both cameras handled the situation. Definitely the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus is a lot more appealing, there's less noise, and it does a better job with exposure. Whereas on the OnePlus 6, it looks good and definitely better than any previous OnePlus device, but there's still a little bit of noise to the photo. Again, we have the exact same photo with HDR on. Both camera phones punch up the colors a little bit, but still the Galaxy S9 Plus looks better, whereas there's even more noise now on the OnePlus 6. So here's the second low light photo. And as you can see here again, this is a picture from the Sony a6500 to give you guys a good representation of what this looks like in real life. Now we have the first picture from both phones. As you can see, the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus does a much better job with skin tones. You can see a lot more, and there's a lot less noise than the OnePlus 6. If anything, the OnePlus 6 does a slightly better job with the exposure on the light bulbs, but overall, the Galaxy S9 Plus is a more pleasing picture. So now we have HDR on, and the OnePlus 6 looks significantly better than the previous photo. Both phones are really over sharpening the image, but as you can see, there's definitely more noise on the OnePlus 6. Here's portrait mode. On the right hand side, we have the Galaxy S9 Plus, and I personally think it looks more visually appealing. The OnePlus 6 did a great job too, but I find it didn't do the best job of blurring out the background. The bottom is not blurred out, and there's little patches that could be a lot better. In terms of software processing, definitely the Galaxy S9 Plus was a lot harder with the software processing, making the background look a little bit fake. The OnePlus 6 looks fake too, but not as bad as the Galaxy S9 Plus. Both phones are capable of doing slow motion. The Galaxy S9 Plus, you can go all the way up to 960 frames, whereas on the OnePlus 6, you're kind of stuck to 480. The benefit of being at 480 though, is that you can record slow motion for a lot longer, whereas on the Galaxy S9 Plus, the duration is very short. Now, of course, 960 frames per second looks more visually appealing, but because the OnePlus 6 doesn't require as much light, the picture itself looks slightly better. And finally, we have 4K video, and both phones do a fantastic job stabilizing the footage. If anything, they're pretty equal. Now, the only thing that I did notice is that on the OnePlus 6, there's a little bit more morphing going on while the stabilization is taking place, and I do find the Galaxy S9 Plus to be slightly more visually appealing. So that pretty much wraps up my camera comparison between the OnePlus 6 and the Galaxy S9 Plus. To be honest with you, the differences in daylight is very minimal. Both phones do a fantastic job. The only area where the Galaxy S9 Plus has a true advantage is with low light. Low light still looks better on most flagship smartphones. But man, OnePlus has come a long way in the camera department. This is the first time in a long time that I can say the OnePlus camera is pretty close to being as good as the top performers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to see more pictures from these cameras, make sure to follow me on Instagram. Like the video if you liked it. Follow me if you haven't followed me already, and I'll see you in the next video.